Okay folks, Captain Paul here from Boca Chica State Park. It's actually Boca Chica Key over here in Florida, just outside of Miami. We're probably around less than 20 miles from Miami right now, getting ready for the Bahamas. So one of the questions I get, and I get this a lot, is how do you get ready for your, what weather windows am I looking at? How am I looking at the weather and stuff like that? So there's a bunch of different apps and a bunch of different ways to do this. And now you guys know that I navigate primarily using Navionics. And I can go into the Navionics app and I can look at weather. And then also another app that I use now, I didn't use that before, I just started using it this year, is Aquamaps. And I do all of my tracking with Aquamaps. And I can also look at their weather. So that's another source of weather that I can get. So my go-to app is the Windfinder app. I've always, I don't know why, I probably started very early on because I use Windy and Windfinder. And I also I pay for the subscriptions on both of them, but I always find myself going to Windy or Windfinder Plus. And the reason is I've just gotten to know it over the years and trust it. And I've been out in some weather that, was questionable, but looking at the app and then understanding what I'm looking at and then knowing what I'm looking at, I got to trust it and trust it a little bit more. And I think as technology is getting better and better and better, that it really does help me out there in making decisions, because when I'm on a yacht delivery, that's different than being on a pleasure cruise or taking people out for the first time and stuff like that. Because when I'm out there, like when I'm looking at Windy, the first thing I do is I'll scroll down and I'll show you here a picture of what I do is I'm just looking at the actual wind and the direction, and then I'll go through the days. And then I look for, the calmest days that I can. Then after that, then I will go, like we're getting ready to go to West End, and I'll show you a picture right here of the Windy app. And there's a little button I can tap on here, and that'll give me wave heights. It'll give me forecast. It'll give me super forecast. It'll tell me, what the waves are, how many seconds apart. The further the seconds are apart, the calmer the conditions. So that you can go out in, let's say, 5-foot waves, and if they're 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds apart, it's not that bad. It really isn't. So it'll be just like a floating like this, because I tell everybody, out in the ocean, when you're out, get out of the ICW and out into the ocean, things change drastically, and it's pretty severe actually. And that's where a lot of people will get sick and stuff like that if they're not paying attention. But if the wave is coming, like this wave is coming, it's just a really slow action. But if those waves are like, 2 or 3 seconds apart, or even 4 seconds apart, it's just like this, and the boat is just constantly being slammed and moved. Now it matters when you're looking at those wave directions, it matters which way they're coming from. If they're coming from the south, then it matters current and all that stuff like that. So everything matters. So the wind matters, and the direction matters, and the size of the waves matter. Everything matters, but and I think it takes a while for people to actually get that information, be able to process that information, and then know what they're actually looking at. Because now when I do my Gulf crossings, I look at it completely different than I used to. As the first time, I'll show you my first time crossing video here. I was very freaking nervous. It was like I didn't know anything about anything. I was just it was just a first time boater, and I didn't know. And what you don't know can hurt you sometimes. But if you watch videos like this and you do learn, and you get out there and get the experience that it takes to understand what you're looking at, that's what'll make you a much, much better captain. I get joked around all the time, what is a boat captain? As a boat captain, going to get your captain's license has absolutely nothing to do with driving a boat. It's just rules of the road, and it's learning. It's just like anything else. But it's not how to, you're not out there reading the Windy app. They don't teach you anything about the segment they go through in weather is very, very small. It's really minute, really, really small. but there's such good information out there, and there's a lot of good apps, you know, because the Windy app is another good one. I do have the app. I do pay for the subscription, and I do use it once in a while, especially when it gets really technical on the weather, and you know, it's go or no go. You know, I'm really looking at those windows and seeing when they close up and when they open up and stuff like that. And even me as a captain, I learn and grow every day, you know, because now we're out here playing in a different set of rules, because you know, it's one thing to run up the East Coast on the ICW. It's another thing to run out here into the Gulf Stream, which is what we're going to do here in the following days, and then being able to know what's going to happen with that. So, you know, it's definitely a learning curve. Everybody has to get comfortable with the app. I think having too much information can be as bad as having not enough information. And so I put all the information, but I do trust, you know, Windfinder Plus, because I've learned how to read it and stuff like that, like I said earlier in the video. And for me, that is my go-to app. So I just wanted to share that with you, just a quick educational video on boating 101 of, you know, what I use here while I'm sitting here in Boca Chica Park, getting ready to do the crossing over to the Bahamas. You know, I'm a little nervous too, because I've never been through the Gulf Stream. So I've been out, I've been in the Atlantic, but you know, probably the furthest I've boated offshore off the Atlantic here is probably 15 miles, something like that. And I believe the Gulf Stream's out there about 25 to 30 miles off the coast is where you really start to get into that and feel that effect of it. But, you know, waves and everything matters out there too. Southern Estate is prepared. You know, it's, you know, as we prepare to do the crossings, I think a lot of people under-prepare. I can give you some examples, but the best thing to do to prepare, I mean, you've seen several videos. I'll share one with you right here where, you know, we tape everything down, we tie everything to the floors. It doesn't matter what the weather, you know, what your weather window is. That should be pretty standard procedure when you're going offshore. Now, if you're in the ICW, you're gonna get the occasional wave, you know, somebody in their big fancy Sea Ray or, you know, whatever boat goes by you and rolls you over a little bit and flops around your cabin. That's one thing. But when you get out into the ocean, whole new world. And it's better to just be, you know, when I say Boy Scout prepared, and just lash it all down, man. You can see right here, I'll show you some pictures. We tie every piece of furniture down. We put tapes across all the doors. We prepare like we're gonna go through. I've been through so many of these storms, and I've been, you know, it's just being prepared to be out there and get hit by a wave is always good practice in any situation, because there's nothing worse than getting out there in you know, some less than desirable weather, and you know, then you have to deal with it. I've had to do it several times on, you know, different crossings. The Noose last year, I'll put that video up. I mean, the Nasty Noose, I was out there messing with my dinghy. I wasn't 100% confident that I had it secured correctly, and you know, it's called the Nasty Noose for a reason. I've been across the Noose now several other times. I'll link that video. I mean, and the weather was absolutely slick calm, but it got me that time. And I'm out there and I'm literally crawling on my belly, and I don't have video of it because you can barely even do anything. But I'm crawling out there on my belly, and the water's coming over the front of the boat, and Bev's at the helm, and it was ugly, you know. And it was just one of those, you know, it's one of those learning adventures. And you know, even though I did have everything tied off, and we were going into a head sea, it's still, you know, you got to be Boy Scout prepared for all of it, and it doesn't matter, you know. Just being prepared and ready to go out there in any type of weather is always good practice. Anyway, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, share it with your friends. I do appreciate it. And, you know, thank you so much. Anybody who wants to hit that super thanks, we do appreciate it. Love my Patreons. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. You know, I just got my first Patreon video removed, Tats, sorry. And I just talked to Justine yesterday, and she's ready to come back out on the boat. But apparently hand bras are not allowed on the YouTube. But I did protest it, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, peace out. Thank you guys again. Love you, and thank you. Bye.